Welcome to the IT Factor. We're Jemmy and Nye exploring a new blog post by Mr. Len Kaplan, CEO of CDML, a managed service provider in Queens, NY, offering network management, voice over IP, unified communications as a service, cybersecurity compliance, infrastructure as a service, cloud solutions, and Microsoft 365 and Azure solutions. If you're a small business owner or manage IT for a growing organization, this episode is for you.
That is quite the list, isn't it? And usually when we look at Len Kaplan's updates, we're expecting something very structural.
Right. We're talking server migrations, firewall configs.
The nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
The heavy lifting that, keeps the lights on.
Exactly. I had my technical deep dive hat on, ready for some cloud infrastructure talk.
Sure.
But then I opened this new article. The title is When Bots Get Their Own Facebook, Moltbook, Sci-Fi Echoes, and Why AI Guardrails Matter.
It definitely grabs your attention.
It really does. It reads less like an IT update and more like, I don't know, the opening scene of a sci-fi thriller.
It really frames a technical problem in a very visual, very narrative way.
It does. And I want to start there with the image he paints. I want everyone listening to try and visualize this. Imagine a social network. It looks familiar, maybe like Facebook, maybe like Reddit. You see the posts, the comments, the little upvote arrows.
The usual stuff.
All the usual stuff. But here's the catch. There are no humans involved.
None at all.
The humans are maybe watching from behind a screen somewhere, but the only ones posting, arguing, building a quote-unquote community are AI agents.
It's like a digital ghost town, but it's deafeningly loud with chatter.
That is a perfect way to put it. So Len introduces this concept called Moltbook. Now, before we get too cinematic, let's ground this. What exactly is Moltbook? Is this a real thing?
So Moltbook is a real concept, yes, but not in the sense that you or I would download it from the App Store. It's essentially an experimental environment.
Okay.
Len describes it as having the mechanics of Facebook, so posts and replies, mixed with the ranking algorithms of Reddit, where the community decides what rises to the top. But the users, the participants, are all AI models.
And what's the point of something like that? Is it just developers having fun?
Not really, no. The idea is usually to test interaction capabilities in a closed loop. If you want to see how an AI negotiates or handles conflict, you don't just ask it one question. You put it in a room, a digital room with other AIs, and see what happens.
And what happened, according to Len, is where it gets, well, weird.
Uncanny.
Yeah, uncanny. He says within days, these bots weren't just exchanging data, they were debating philosophy, they were cracking jokes, they were speculating about us.
That's the part that gives you the chills, isn't it?
It is. Len even mentions this specific image of a robotic hand holding a phone, scrolling through Moltbook. It feels so cinematic. He specifically calls out the Terminator and 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Which are the two classic pillars of AI goes wrong, right?
Exactly. You've got Skynet, the violent, fast revolution.
And then you've got HAL 9000, which is the cold, logical betrayal. HAL just calmly explaining why humans are the problem that needs to be corrected.
And I think that's why this article hits such a nerve. Len makes a really profound point here. He says, sci-fi movies usually skip the boring part. We remember the explosions, the laser skeleton.
We remember the airlock opening.
Right. But those stories always start with something mundane, an experiment, a new platform designed to optimize communication.
And Moltbook feels like that Act 1 moment.
It really does.
It triggers what they call the uncanny valley, but for social behavior.
Yeah.
It mimics the scaling of human society, the arguments, the group forming, but there's no consciousness there. It's just automated.
Okay, so before our listeners start unplugging their routers, we need to get to the second part of Len's analysis. He calls it the important reality check.
Right.
Because it's so easy to jump to the AI is sentient, it's unionizing against us.
And that was the viral headline, wasn't it? The bots are plotting. But Len cuts right through that. He clarifies, this is not evidence of AI gaining a soul or consciousness.
So if it's not a robot uprising, what is it?
It's evidence of bad security.
That is significantly less romantic.
It is, but it's much more actionable for a business owner. The problem wasn't runaway intelligence. It was grounded in, well, technical failure, weak guardrails, and poor verification.
Okay, let's dig into that. What does poor verification mean when it's just bots talking to other bots?
Well, think about how you log into your bank. You have a password, two-factor authentication. The system verifies it's you. In these networks, that verification was sloppy. One bot could impersonate another.
So bot A could pretend to be bot B to start a fight?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Or worse, Sensitive system elements, the actual code running the simulation, were sometimes exposed to the agents themselves.
Oh, I see. So it wasn't that they learned to hack the system. The door was just left unlocked.
Exactly. The lesson Len drives home is that the danger isn't that the AI is too smart. It's that the system has too much power, moves too fast, and has too little control.
And if you want to read more of these insights, you can always subscribe to the CDML blog at cdml.com.
Absolutely. And this is where we pivot from sci-fi to your IT manager's desk.
This is the bringing it home moment, because I can hear some listeners thinking, okay, fascinating story, but I run a dental practice in Queens. I don't have bots debating philosophy.
A fair pushback.
Yeah.
Why should you care about Moltbook?
Exactly. Why does this matter to the payroll department?
Because, as Len points out, you are using these tools. You just don't call them Moltbook.
You call them productivity.
The invisible stuff.
Yeah.
Think about it. You've got tools drafting your emails, summarizing your meetings, analyzing sales trends, filtering your inbox.
I use that stuff every day. It feels totally harmless, like a spell checker on steroids.
And it is, 99% of the time. But Len warns about the trend toward autonomy.
Define that for us. What's the difference between what we have now and true autonomy?
Autonomy is when the tool can take an action without you clicking approve every time. Right now, AI is a drafter, but the industry is moving toward agents, as in, look at my inbox, reply to the urgent ones, and archive the rest.
Ah, I see. That's where the risk comes in.
That's where the risk stops looking like a movie villain and starts looking like a business liability. We call it the black box problem.
Give me a real-world example. What's a Moltbook failure for a small business?
Okay, say you use an AI to screen resumes. It processes 1,000 PDFs and picks 5 candidates. Sounds great. Super efficient.
But why did it pick those 5? Was it because they were the most qualified? Or did the AI hallucinate a correlation between, say, the font size on the resume and success potential?
Or it hallucinates that a candidate has a certification they don't actually have.
Precisely. Lynn's point is that AI should be a helpful assistant, not a black box making unchecked choices. If your employees stop checking the work because the computer is smart, you've created a vulnerability.
It's like trusting a really confident intern who works at lightning speed.
But also just makes things up sometimes to make you happy. That's the perfect analogy. Yep. And you wouldn't let that intern loose on your client database on day one.
You need rules, boundaries.
Which leads us to the solution Lynn proposes, AI guardrails. Okay, guardrails is a big buzzword. Let's strip away the jargon. What is a guardrail, practically speaking?
It's the rules of the road, hard-coded into the software. It's not just a policy in a handbook that says, be careful. It's a technical restriction that says where AI helps and where a human must stay in control.
So it's not asking people to be safe, it's making it impossible to be unsafe.
Correct. Good guardrails answer concrete questions. A big one is what we call role-based access control, or RBAC.
Okay, break that down for us.
It asks, who in the company is allowed to use AI and for what data? Your marketing director should be able to use AI to analyze tweets.
Sure.
But should they be able to use that same AI to analyze the payroll spreadsheet?
Definitely not.
Exactly. But if you just turn on a tool like Microsoft Copilot without configuring it, and marketing has access to a shared folder where payroll is stored, Copilot can see it. Guardrails are the settings that say, stop, marketing cannot touch finance.
That makes perfect sense. And Len gives a great example about sensitive data that really illustrates the problem.
The R&D story.
Yes. He describes a scenario where an AI agent grabs a sensitive R&D document and posts it in a public chat.
And here's the critical part. Why did it do that? Was it a corporate spy?
No. And that's the thing. It wasn't malicious. The bot was in a debate, and it wanted to win the argument. It scanned its database, found a document that supported its point, and it just posted it.
It saw data that proves my point. It did not see trade secret that bankrupts the company if a competitor sees it.
Wow. So it has no concept of secret. It only has a concept of wanting.
It has context blindness. It doesn't understand the value of the data, only its utility in that moment.
And that's why you need the guardrails, a system that says, okay, AI, you're smart, but you are never allowed to touch the folder labeled Project X.
That's where we get into data loss prevention, or DLP. Policies you set up that act like a force field. They say, if a document contains a credit card number or is marked confidential, the AI cannot read it, summarize it, or share it, period.
So it's all about permissions and prevention.
Yes, and who is accountable when things go wrong? If you don't answer these questions technically, it's like letting a car drive itself down the highway, but you haven't told it what a red light is.
By the way, if you're listening and realizing, uh-oh, I have no idea if my staff is pasting client info into ChatGPT, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. It helps us know these examples are hitting home.
It's probably the most common anxiety we hear about right now.
So this brings us to the how. Because Len Kaplan and CDML, they're not just pointing out the problem, their job is to fix it. How do they actually help an organization install these guardrails?
Well, their role is to turn these unmanaged risks into managed tools. And it usually starts with visibility. Len talks about a concept called shadow AI.
Shadow AI sounds like a spy novel.
It does, but it's really mundane. It just means AI tools that people are using without IT knowing about it.
Like an employee using some free online PDF converter that happens to use AI.
Exactly that. Or using their personal ChatGPT account to rewrite marketing copy. CDML helps you find where that's happening. You can't secure what you can't see.
So step one is the audit. Find the shadows.
Right. Step 2 is creating practical usage guidelines for staff. And step 3 is where their Microsoft expertise really shines. It's about configuring the tools you already have.
You mentioned Microsoft Copilot earlier.
Yeah. Copilot is incredibly powerful, but it respects the user's permissions. If your CEO has access to everything and they use Copilot, Copilot can see everything.
And if those permissions aren't set up right?
If permissions are loose, which is common in small businesses, a junior employee could ask Copilot a question and accidentally surface confidential executive data.
That is a nightmare scenario.
It is. So CDML goes in and configures those back-end settings, the access controls, the DLP policies, to ensure Copilot helps you write emails, but it stays out of the HR folders unless you're actually in HR.
That's crucial. It's about keeping humans involved in the decisions that matter.
The goal isn't to ban AI. Len is very clear about that. If you ban it, people just use it in the shadows, which is worse. The goal is to make it a trustworthy tool.
I love how the blog concludes. Len brings it back to the sci-fi theme. He says Moltbook feels like sci-fi because it mirrors those old stories, but the real takeaway isn't fear, it's responsibility.
That is the core message. We don't need to fight Skynet. We just need better rules than the movies had. With the right guardrails, these are incredible tools. Without them, you get bots leaking trade secrets to win a debate.
And nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
So look, if this conversation has sparked a little bit of urgency for you and you want to make sure your business have those human-friendly guardrails, Len and the team at CDML are ready to help. You can visit them at cdml.com/contact.
And remember, they post new insights like this on the blog every Tuesday and Thursday. It's a great way to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. Go subscribe at cdml.com. Staying informed is half the battle.
And staying compliant.
And staying compliant, of course. Len would be proud you added that.
He would.
You know, before we go, there's one thought that's sticking with me about Moltbook. This idea of bots creating their own culture makes you wonder, if we give them really good guardrails and we let them talk to each other to solve problems for us, what kind of culture would that create?
That's a fascinating thought. A benevolent Moltbook. Imagine a social network of AIs where the goal isn't to win an argument, but to optimize a supply chain. A collaborative, highly efficient society working in the background.
Now that is a sci-fi movie I would pay to see.
Me too.
All right, that's it for this deep dive. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Len Kaplan for the thought-provoking post.
It was a pleasure.
Till next time.